I wanna grab a frying pan and lay you out on the floor. That filth you talk, that stench just flies out of you. I should have listened, yeah, I should have. Said you loved me, I should have picked up and ran. Grabbed my unicycle and rode to Japan. Hang out with some geisha girls, sing karaoke and get a tattoo. Do everyone and everything to forget about you.
So, welcome again for another episode of PCP, Political Commentary Page, and where basically it is an open phone line forum. Everybody is welcomed to call in and talk about whatever they want. There are no taboo subjects. This is the internet, thank God. Of course, though, a lot of the platforms do limit what one can say, and I'll find out exactly when I've crossed that line, because I don't really know yet. But there's the Discord call-in line right there, and you got the Skype call-in line. Skype, basically, you just have to send an invite. I will accept it, and then I'll put you on. And really, it is a talk show about anything and everything, to where the users, the listeners, direct where the conversation will lead. It's not a right wing, it's not a left wing. It's basically freedom orientated. So I'm open to anything. Relationships, gun violence, religion, you name it, we're open for it. Early this morning here, not too early. I think it's almost 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:51 to be exact. And late last night and early this morning, I kind of perused the internet sites, different news sources, and compiled some information here. Because basically, if nobody calls, well, it's up to me to direct where the conversation goes. And so we're going to start with something lighthearted. Yeah. Now, the other day, I showed a video where in Germany, a cafe opened up and people were wearing these little frickin' swim noodles on their heads to keep social distancing rules. Yeah. And I guess this is a growing trend. Yeah, businesses trying to come up with ways to keep these social distancing rules enforced. And we have one here in Maryland. A bar uses giant rubber rings to keep customers apart. And I've got this video here for you, and we'll kind of take a look at it and see exactly what the what the story is and whatnot. But it looks kind of comical. Okay, yeah, we always have the commercial. I forgot about that. Oh, good. I can just skip it. Here we go. Oh, we have no audio for some reason. But look at this. Okay, so you got these people walking around. It's almost like bumper cars. Oh, watch out there, lady. Oh, careful. There you go. Now she's got it. And is this just make-believe or what? Do people come in and they get one of these wheels and then they go out there? Maybe you have to do that. Oh, unmute site. So I guess that was it. Yeah, there was not much to be spoken to. But yeah, it's kind of like going to a carnival and getting some bumper cars. Yeah, and you kind of roll your way in there, and it limits your proximity to other people. Is that a good thing? I sure don't think it's a good thing. But it looks like that is the way we are heading. And even after all restrictions are lifted, we're still going to have this. This is going to be the new norm. This is where we are heading towards. Yeah. A couple other, I talked about censorship. Yeah. And about how some of the platforms that I stream on limit the type of language that people can say. I mean, I can throw a word in every now and then, like "God damn it" or "son of a bitch" or something like that. But I believe if you just, string out a chorus of profanities that are not in context, I think I'll probably get flagged. Yeah. And I've said this for a long, long time. People are upset that Facebook limits what people can say, censorship, YouTube also. But, we have to keep in mind that these are free services. Yeah. Nobody is forcing you to use them. However, they are incredibly influential. A lot of people, that's where they get their news, is right off Facebook. I mean, you can create a meme if you want, put a fake headline on there, and a lot of people accept it to be truth. And I know Facebook has these fact finding, I wouldn't call them missions, but still, even that, how do I know who is this fact finding group? Yeah, there's just some guy somewhere in California in a basement looking at these memes and deciding, sounds about right. Or, nope, gotta be fake. I mean, so we really don't have any idea. There's really not a lot of transparency there. But I've got some story here that big tech censorship lumps together conspiracy loons and proper scientists. Yeah, this is a story. YouTube has set itself up as the world's thought police over COVID-19 and is shutting down the voices of highly respected experts. As far as YouTube is concerned, this can cause more threat than anything else with the coronavirus. Yeah, dissidents' views must not be seen or heard on its channels. That is why it decided to clamp down on anyone who dares question the wisdom of the current lockdown. Those are pretty strong words, yeah? Yeah. Dares, dissidents. And this story comes from us from RT here. And YouTube censorship attitude is not confined to policing conspiracy theorists or flat earthers. Oh, flat earth nutters either. Yeah, those flat earthers, boy, that's kind of okay. Recently, it has removed a video of the respected epidemiologist Dr. Kut M. Witkowski's discussion on how to understand and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. This popular video, watched by 1.5 million people, was one of the rare resources that offered a serious scientific view challenging the official consensus. Well, you know, when you go against the status quo, it's going to be difficult. When you're the sole voice of opposition, you're ridiculed. Yeah, you're made to feel inferior, which is why history has proven that usually the minority is correct, not the majority. The majority goes along with groupthink. It's easy to go along with groupthink. Yeah, as I said, you're part of the crowd. But in almost all cases, the minority have been proven to be right. Of course, we are right now in the midst of that, and apparently a lot of people just kind of forget that fact or ignore it. Yeah. But we've seen this. They are clamping down. In fact, believe it or not, yesterday I got a report from Facebook. I am trying my best to kind of spread the word about, you know, what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, I really am. I would like this to take off a little bit. I would like to get some more followers, some more viewers. I would like for them to share this stream. I want more people to call in and take part. Yeah, I really do. I want people to be able to speak to other people from around the world and exchange history, exchange their experiences and what they see and what they don't see. And so I decided to run an ad on Facebook, targeting a certain genre of people. And it was denied. Facebook denied it. Now, given the fact that I have been involved in social media marketing in the past, I was able to, you know, find some loopholes, change a little thing here and there. The video that's being marketed or promoted, I was told to change it. I didn't change it one bit. I did not change it one bit. All I did was change one punctuation point, and that's it. And I submitted it for review, and it was passed. But I've had so many posts or ads in the last job that I had denied from Facebook. So it is a common issue. Yeah, it's a very common issue. Have you ever been thrown in Facebook jail? Or have you ever had some of your posts taken down or been warned about a post that you might have put up? Facebook is just they're great with this. I mean, they take down a lot of stuff quite quickly, you know, very fast. I'm not exactly sure how YouTube is. I think YouTube is more concerned with copyright protection, music, videos. Although what's really funny is, I mean, God, you could watch full-length movies on YouTube. Full-length movies on YouTube, uncensored, you know, ones that you have to, you know, rent or buy or stream from a service that you pay for. They're out there on YouTube. I don't quite get it, but it's there. Another story I got here. This comes from Sky News, from the UK. This happened on Thursday, the 14th of May. Police heckled and used pepper spray while detaining protesters. Now, we know a lot of protesters, and I've said this in the past, they're going to continue to grow in force and grow in numbers. And from the very beginning, I said someone's going to get shot, which came to light. I said the violent arrests will be ramped up, bones will be broken, noses will be broken, and blood will be shed. And not just in America, but all over the world. This is going to be dividing the populace within each and every country. Extremely. Oh, can you hear the tractors going? I mean, that's pretty much the only traffic I have here in the village which I live, are tractors. And usually just during the summertime. So now this is in Hong Kong. And people are protesting in Hong Kong. Now, maybe they're not protesting against the coronavirus. I don't know. Let's take a look and see what the story says here. Oh, oops, I'm on the wrong screen here. You gotta click on that. Oh, I guess he's a cop. The unclothed, ununiformed. I'm not sure what the protest is about. It doesn't really say, but it's probably, I'm sure it is a coronavirus protest. So they're trying to cordon off the area. I mean, I think right now this is just common. I don't really see anything extraordinary there. Yeah. I mean, do you? I think that's pretty much standard, yeah. The actions that were taking place there. In the U.S., someone probably would have been shot or plummeted after they were sprayed. Now, I also talked about how, and this has happened here too in Europe, that I mentioned it last night, how governors have basically taken control of the state in which they were voted into office to look after the state. They've basically taken control over it, yeah, and taken control with an iron fist, ruling it as their plaything, totally disregarding the rule of law in the whole country, such as a federal law, such as a constitution that a certain country has. Constitution, of course, puts limits on the power of what they can and can't do, but it's totally being ignored. And in some cases, the judgment that these governors have used, shutting this down or shutting that down or enforcing this rule or enforcing that rule, some of them have been overturned because people can take these rulings to court. Once they've been arrested for such an offense, they are able to contest it. And then it goes up to a higher court. Usually it's the Supreme Court of that state. And that state could, declare a ruling. So a lot of these governors have had their rulings overturned. But in this one case, in Oregon, an Oregon Supreme Court puts hold on Baker County judge rulings declaring governor's coronavirus orders null and void. I guess the governor of that state basically put a restriction, a ban, on religious services. Yeah. Because, when you have a religious service, people come together more than 3 or 5. Yeah. And since that was a ban, they decided to, enforce it in places of worship. Yeah. I got a story here. In late Monday ruling, the Oregon Supreme Court stepped in and put a hold on a dramatic decision by Eastern Oregon judge that declared not only Governor Kate Brown's restrictions on church gathering null and void, but all of her stay home saves lives coronavirus emergency orders. So he basically said, lady, I think what you're doing, you're going a little bit out of bounds. You put this ruling out that you have restricted church gatherings, and you've also basically put out a stay at home and save lives order. And both of these are not constitutional. So, nope, I overturn it. That's a judge did that. And then, of course, the governor's office had a problem with that, and they took it to the Supreme Court in Oregon, and they sided with her. That's a little bit interesting. State Supreme Court presiding Justice Thomas A. Balmer, in a 3-paragraph ruling issued at 7:45 p.m., granted the state's emergency notion after reviewing briefs from both sides. The hold will remain in effect until the High Court considers the state's full petition. Now, this is listen to this. This is kind of interesting, yeah? The hold will remain in effect until the High Court considers the state's petition, with no set timetable for decision. So basically, they can just sit on this for years if they want to. They don't have to make a decision. They have to, but with no timetable. So they could make it 2 years from now, 10 years from now. We first heard about this, and in America, you have a lot of people, the Christians, coming out saying that this is a war on Christianity. They're stopping people from going to church services. However, they're not really stopping Muslims for going to mosques. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I have heard no story about, on one corner of the street you have a Christian church which is empty, and on the same day, on the other side of the street, you have a mosque which is full. And this is a commonplace in America, to have a Christian church and a mosque right next to each other, which I think is great. I think it's outstanding. It's wonderful. But I have not heard any stories that give that argument any weight whatsoever. That this is but the Republicans have been saying that there is a war against Christianity in America. Don't see it. I don't see it. A lot of people say it, but I haven't seen it. Let's see. The Baker County judge found that the churches can take necessary social distancing precautions, just as grocery stores and other essential businesses have done. He also ruled that the injunction was in the public's interest, allowing people the right to freely worship and the ability to restore economic viability. Excuse me, that's in the Constitution. Freedom of religion and the right to worship, to practice your religion, no matter what religion it is. So the order that she put out, she doesn't limit the people's right to worship. People don't have to go to church to worship. That's true. That is absolutely true. You don't need a church at all to do any worship of any type. Yeah? But he added that plaintiffs have shown that they will be harmed by depriving them of the constitutional right to freely exercise their religion. Other plaintiffs have also shown great economic harm to their businesses and their ability to seek livelihood. Well, that goes without saying, right? We all know that. Just look at the unemployment rate. Yeah? Look at the unemployment rate, and that tells you. A lot of people, it's hurting them. Let's see here. This court understands that the current pandemic creates an unprecedented crisis in the state as well as in our country. No, this pandemic does not create unprecedented crisis in the state as well as in our country. The pandemic does not cause this. Politicians are causing this. The mainstream media is causing this. Not the virus. It's how they are reacting to the virus. Yeah? It's not the virus itself. let's see here. And that's pretty much about it. That's the story. So even though a judge overturned the governor's ruling, they took it to a higher court and they agreed with the governor. So I guess you win some, you lose some. Yeah, we've had some of these cases overturned. However, this one was not. And Oregon is a fairly progressive state, I think, with pockets of conservatism here and there. But a lot of it's like Washington State. I mean, they're neighbors. They're right, one's right above each other, the other one. So we also have in France. Now, this is kind of funny. French court orders ban on worship to end. So basically, they've gone the exact opposite course here. Yeah. France Administrative Court has ruled that the government must lift a blanket ban on meetings at places of worship within 8 days. So even in France, they had a ban on worshiping, but they decided, well, we've got to lift this. Yeah. On all religions, places of worship. Now, the ban was put in place as a measure to curb the spread of the coronavirus, right? The Council of State ruled the ban was disproportionate in nature and caused damage that was seriously and manifestly illegal. Well, that's absolutely true. And in the U.S., it's also absolutely true, but it continues. Currently, all gatherings and places of worship are banned, except for funerals, which are limited to 20 people. However, the judge said that the private gatherings up to 10 people are now allowed. The ban was disproportionate to the objective of preserving public health. Okay. And somebody says that's good news for freedom of religion. Again, I will have to say they are not stopping you from practicing your religion. They are banning you from meeting together. So whether it was meeting together for a picnic or meeting together for worship, yeah, the same ban applied to everything. But, I'd have to say that this is a good sign. Yeah, I think it's a good sign. I think people who, are very strong and they practice their religion, and for them it's a tradition, usually goes down from family member to family member to family, and generation to generation to generation. It's part of their tradition. So I guess that's a good thing, yeah? Sounds like a good thing to me. And now this is where I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not just a little bit concerned. I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about this next story because it really sums it up. Us versus them in a pandemic. Researchers warn divisions could get dangerous. We don't need a researcher to tell us this. We don't need experts to tell us this, do we? This is common sense. If things are going to get dangerous. In every country, we have opposing sides. And these opposing sides have, in some cases, taken up arms. This is only going to get worse. Give me 1 second, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Told you. Told you I'd be fast. When I do that, when I get up and do something, is my mic still on? I mean, I pushed the mute button, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's on or not, or if whatever I'm doing is broadcasting out. I don't know. But as I said, this is going to get worse and worse. As the pandemic moves from public health crisis to partisanship, flashpoint, the debate over the coronavirus response in the U.S. is becoming increasingly nasty and in some cases violent. It's not just the clusters of gun-toting protesters at state capitals. In sporadic incidents across the country, disputes over emergency measures have turned into shootings, fistfights, and beatings. Stories abound of intimidation over masking, and armed right-wing groups have threatened contract tracers and people who say they snitch on neighbors, and businesses violating health orders. This is where it's going. I've said this a long time ago, about a month ago, that this is turning neighbor against neighbor. We have the rats, the snitches, the nosy bodies who wants to get into everybody's business and call the authorities at the slightest pin drop. Yeah? Researchers who study the links between polarization and violence stress that these incidents are still rare, and extreme reactions, polls show, that the majority of Americans support and are abiding by distancing measures. Oh, those are my dogs. Oh, you can hear us sing. Hello. Yeah, yes. Oh, you're a big dog. So they like to bark, I guess. Barking at something. Yeah. So if we don't intervene as a nation, as citizens, to begin to correct this identity-based polarization, then the erosion of democratic norms will go even further. And that's the threat of potential social unrest. Okay, if we don't intervene as a nation, as citizens, to begin to correct this identity-based polarization, how are they going to do that? How are they going to intervene as a nation to calm this down? I mean, America in particular has been divided ever since, well, for a long time. Donald Trump has been the what would I say? The cherry on the cake, I'd say, It's never been so clear as it has been with Donald Trump in office. It really divided America. And I just don't know how, as a nation, are you supposed to intervene? How? What actions could you take? I think a clear action is force. The nation would have to go in and weed out the dissidents. Are we talking re-education camps? I don't know. But it is usually the dissidents who are targeted, of course. Normally, as I started this stream here, normally they are in the minority, and normally they're right. Although in this case, they're not necessarily in the minority. There are millions of them. And in America, they all have guns. So what's going to happen? You tell me. In the UK, dissidence is popping up on a daily rate. Daily. I'm not exactly sure what the state thinks they could do here. Researchers cite leadership as a key factor in the struggle against polarization. But President Trump draws support through identity politics and has signaled repeatedly that he'll play to his base even in a national health emergency. Take, for example, Trump's refusal to wear a mask, despite the advice of his own health authorities and recent coronavirus infections among the White House staffers. Sending the wrong message, be a role model. Well, in this case, I'm going to have to side with Trump. He is a role model in this case. He is a role model in this case. He is not buying into the fear and hype because all of the numbers, if you want to look at this logically, all of the numbers tell us that this pandemic is nowhere more dangerous than the common flu. If we look at the amount of deaths, I think one thing when people see a total of I don't even know what the number is anymore. I really don't give a shit. 300,000 people have died. They look at this from their own isolated area. They don't look at this on a global scale. 300,000 people, that's nothing. If you look at the population of the world, that's nothing. And if we realize that these deaths, which have been connected with the coronavirus, that the way they count them as a death being related to the coronavirus is very, very iffy. Very iffy. So we have no idea. Who do we believe here? If that number is truly accurate or not, or shows a clear representation of how deadly this virus is. We have no idea. And then we have YouTube and other social media sites taking down the opposite of what mainstream media is telling us. Something's not quite right here. I would have to say that in this case, I'm siding with the Republican narrative on the coronavirus. I am. Just because I believe that the government should not have the power to close down businesses and lock people in their houses. Call me crazy, but I don't think the government should have that type of power. Now, you pick out any other kind of topic, and I'm probably going to disagree with them. Yeah, or if you pick out a topic, I might agree with the Democrats on their stance on this. But in this case, I'm going to have to agree with Republicans. The government does not have the right, should not have the power to shut down privately owned businesses. Yeah. The government should not have the power to keep people locked in their house. But they do, and they are. And I said this yesterday that this is becoming the norm. This will be the norm. After all of these fears are gone, and a vaccine has been found, we're still going to have social distancing rules. Yeah, we're still going to have this. This is the new norm. And as I mentioned last night, the word, you remember what the word is? Non-essential is going to come as commonplace as goodbye or hello. These are scary times in which we live. That's all I got to say about that.